Welcome to the Innovation Squadcast. If you're looking for a podcast about instructional strategies enhanced by technology, you came to the right place. In our conversations, we'll talk to tech experts, share ideas and strategies to help you build your toolbox with tools that you can use in your class immediately.
All right, welcome to the Squadcast podcast. Today we're going to be talking about essential tips for virtual learning. It's part of our educational toolbox now. There's times where we've got to be able to, provide for these students in this virtual setting. So kind of what procedures are you seeing out there that teachers are doing that are working and are effective when it comes to virtual learning when that case happens to come up? So,
what I ran across recently, I was working help chat and I had a couple students, they were brothers, new to the district. I mean, they were so new. They were like 2 days new. And then we had our snow day or ice day.
Yeah.
So I was able to go in and find their teachers. I knew who their teachers were. And because their teachers were so organized, they literally had everything labeled so nicely. Like if you're going to join the virtual meet link, click here. If you're in block 1, social studies, click here. So I loved how that teacher had everything spelled out. And even as somebody who isn't part of that class, just working help chat, I was able to go in and kind of guide this student. And I know the student felt a little easier and better about it as well, because then they were like, oh, okay, I got it from here.
I think you brought up an important point too, that virtual learning isn't just going to be, go away when pandemic, and that kind of wraps itself up. I think it's going to be something that even in cases of weather inclement days or anything like that e-learning is going to be part of our vernacular moving forward. And so all of these tips are important as we're moving forward, so that if we do have any kind of weather events like we did, that e-learning hops in, we've got, those procedures. So what are you kind of seeing with, teachers and setting up those procedures ahead of time, right, to kind of maybe get ahead of the e-learning?
I know I've seen one, if you use Google Classroom, to make sure to have the Google Meet link set up in there.
Right.
So that way it's really easy to know what class, whether it's a homeroom or, whichever subject they're in at the time, using that Meet link. And then you can also change the settings as far as, so the kids aren't going to hop in when you're not there.
Right.
There's a lot of settings, and we'll share those in the show notes as far as just those little things that you should know about Google Meet and how to keep it secure and how to only use it when, you're actually, the host is in there.
And stay tuned to the end, because we got a new quick tip when it comes to Google Meets that they have when you have 2 devices in the room. We know that's another issue. So
that's been needed too, because it's always, do I mute this one? Do I, what do I do?
Right.
The other thing, for those that are already using Schoology, it's really easy to have a link right in the updates so that way they can get there.
Yep.
And then anyone that uses like a Bitmoji classroom or one of those cute little, they have those set up in Google Slides. It's really easy to link a Google Meet link there so they know, oh, this is what I click. So, and we have some examples of what that might look like too.
Something else I've run across, once again, I'll say being on help desk, is the teachers who have a specific place. Like they say, here's where you go if you need help. Either you put a comment in the comment section if you're in Google Classroom, or if you're in Schoology, here's a discussion area where you can ask for help or state your concerns. So I like seeing that set up as well, because sometimes the students come on and the teachers could have told them 6,000 times where to go, but it's just so nice that I can look at it and say, oh, this is, your teacher said to go here if you have questions or you need help. So I like that too. And that helps the parents as well, because sometimes the parents are looking over their child's shoulder and they're like, well, what are you supposed to do? And the child saying, I don't know. But when the teacher has it spelled out like that, that's also helpful.
Yeah, so I think, as teachers, it's important to, set up that day, or just like your regular procedures. One of your new procedures now is what, in the case of e-learning, where do we go? Where do we find the information? What learning management system? What folder? What topic? And be able to find those assignments that they need to complete and kind of establish that procedure ahead of time and that expectation ahead of time. So it's not something that you're trying to, catch up on as immediately. And so being ahead of it is definitely something that we need to have. And I like the idea of students knowing exactly where to go, where they need help, and using links and stuff like that. And then you mentioned something else I think is important too for parents, right? Because the parents are a part of this e-learning process. And so we've got to kind of communicate to them, I think also ahead of time. What are you seeing out there that teachers are doing that's pretty effective with that? So
yeah, having those, I think especially since in Google Classroom, parents may not have access to it unless their student logs in or they have their student login. So I do think having that something printed to give to your kids so that way they can pass along to the parents or
Right.
put it on their refrigerator, like here is where you go in order to,
Yeah,
get
that's a good
quick
idea.
help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a little flyer, take home
Right.
flyer, expectations. Yeah, that's a really good idea.
When they're younger, they may not be able to tell you.
Absolutely.
Where the upper grades, middle and high school, they can tell you where to get to things, and really you don't probably have to help them much. But elementary, when you're telling a kindergarten
Yeah.
kid or a parent, you just hop on here. They're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. We
What's
don't
here?
do this when we're in class.
Right.
So just having kind of those, okay, almost if then type of thing
Right.
for parents, so that way they know where to go. And it's just one of those ideas.
Exactly. 'Cause, especially like with the ice storm, that we got obviously the information as quickly as possible,
Mhm.
but that still only gives you a day to kind of figure all that out. But if your child wasn't happened to be at school that day to get the information, but to have that flyer that, all right, I know what to do in case of e-learning, go right to this place, go to this link, and then have everything right there. That's a really great, I think, idea.
I've also seen some teachers use Screencastify
Oh yeah.
to walk through something, walk through procedures, how to get to a link or how to get on Seesaw or how to add an assignment or whatever it is,
Right.
and just keep that posted, whether it's in Seesaw, in Google Classroom, in Schoology, wherever it may be. It's something that, as a teacher, you're repeating a lot. So make a quick Screencastify
Absolutely.
video. It also helps the parents too, because sometimes that child is trying to explain to their
Right.
parents and maybe not explaining it the right way.
Yep.
So
Have those
Screencastify.
expectations built right in there, those
Right.
procedures built right into as a
Right.
folder, as a topic, whatever that you're going to be using, so that they know exactly what to do.
Mhm.
And
you can reuse those over and
Absolutely.
over again, and it kind of gives you, just to go continue with the Screencastify, just for virtual learning. This is one of those times where, as a teacher, you can literally save yourself time by those things that you do repeat over and over again.
Right.
Just record a video and you've got it, so that way if you do ever need to share
Right.
it, you don't have to recreate the
exactly,
Yeah.
and then you're going to get new students in that you maybe didn't
Right.
get the flyer, or
Right.
maybe you didn't get that information. You got new parents that weren't at the meet the parent night. That this is the opportunity, so that they still have that folder, or they have that place that the parent could go and get that information.
Right.
And you don't have to kind of repeat yourself a bunch of times. So
Right.
yeah, that's huge when it comes to that. And so organizing, I think, your Google Classroom, your learning management system, Schoology, Seesaw, whatever it is, what kind of things can maybe teachers do to kind of help making sure that's as user-friendly for the students and parents as well? So.
Oh, I know we've probably been able to see a lot when we're helping students. And sometimes, we'll be calling out to each other, hey, look at so-and-so's, it's organized so nicely.
Yep.
If it's in Schoology, organized with the folders and color-coded and very specific. Some people like to do it by date, or some people like to do it by topic. That's really a choice. But when it's kind of sequential and coded enough so that you can follow along, I know that students have been able to, even the students that we kind of interviewed that one time about it, were saying that was helpful when they were trying to learn something new and get through their coursework.
We were talking about, teachers creating a second class for e-learning. What would you say?
Yeah, and there are two different thoughts. You have the one where if you have a Google Classroom that's just set up for the students that are virtual, that's good, because then you have one code that you can always share with the kids to join. But then it's also one of those, once they come back, you're always trying to figure out whether,
Right.
like if you're doing assignments. Now, if it's just the place that they go to get the link to Google Classroom and general resources that are just for virtual purposes, it's fine.
Right.
But if you're trying to do assignments in your regular end, so it just depends on the teacher as far as which organization makes the most sense for you. And so, it just depends.
I could see that could be a lot to
Because
remember.
then you have to duplicate your assignment. You got where to grading. You're going to have to add and remove students based off of, you may forget to add a kid in or take a kid out.
Poor child is sitting there waving.
Yeah, right.
Let
Versus
me in.
have them all in one place makes it easier, makes it a little more simple.
And you can always use it instead. I know I've suggested to do a Google Calendar where you kind of set up by blocks. So you always have that one Google Meet link that's tied to that block or that time, so you kind of know just by what time of day it is which link you're going to be on, and the kids also can have a calendar for themselves, so they know when to hop on that time. So there's a lot of different ways that you could create those Google Meet links to make it where it fits your schedule and you know which ones you're on, and to control the quick access afterwards.
It's probably important to keep similar routines, similar times, not necessarily similar routines in your classroom, you
Right.
can do that, but maybe like create an e-learning routine that you go through. And even, would you suggest maybe teachers like doing like a mock walkthrough in the class with kids and kind of creating like, all right, these are going to be our e-learning routines and procedures that are going to be different than our classroom, but at least, try to keep them as consistent as possible with that.
Yeah, even if you have to take a few minutes at the beginning of every week, hey, just a reminder, with the younger ones, you'll need more reminders.
Right.
Just a reminder, if we happen to have an e-learning day, make sure you click here first. And even that stuff can be in a Screencastify video, like walking through the steps. But yeah, I think it's best practice to just try it, go through it with the class.
What kind of resources do you see teachers using when they, parents and students need help? You see anything out there that has been real effective when it comes to answering questions, things like that, besides just general emails and things like sometimes that can get overwhelming. But
that is one thing I'm really looking forward to, having Schoology across the district, because that's the biggest thing where parents and students, it's an easy communication tool, and it's not like, and another thing with student help chat, all the time we have students that hop on with like, I can't get to my email, or it's just another thing to go to.
Right.
So I'm really looking forward to that communication aspect of Schoology.
And you've been able to see that from a parent side of you too. So you're
being able to switch between your kids and all that stuff, and being able to see, it's really easy to see, and it looks the same to a parent as, if I'm looking at it, my two students that are in the district, I can see it exactly the way they see it. I might not see like the kids that are in the class or whatever, but I can see all the information I would need to know and that they would need to know. And they're older, so I don't have to really worry about that. But if they were younger, it would still be something I can totally help them without knowing all their login information.
Right.
So that will be really helpful.
Absolutely. And then in Google Classroom, you got, the commenting, sometimes is good to, just so that, to be aware of it, to create kind of an established office hours. I know that was important for me, in the high school classroom. All right, I'm going to be available, in a Google Meet, whatever, to answer all your questions during this time. And then I'd also sometimes create like a Screencastify, I kind of do like the highlights of whatever meeting I had for students that maybe couldn't make it to that particular time, put that in there so that they still didn't miss the information as well.
I like that idea. Like, so, these are some
kind
things,
of recapped,
that some other students asked, so you never know if the rest of the kids are wondering the same thing. I like that idea.
They didn't wake up for the office hours.
I was going to say, because in high school, don't have those office hours too early.
And so that was always good. I kind of recap, went over the questions, and then that way that if they chose to do the assignment at a later time, whenever they're available, at least they had some support there. So.
And having all the access to the Google tools that we have, since it's so easy to share a link through email to parents or through Google Classroom or Schoology with our students, even if you do have an update, it's easy to just one link, make sure everybody can view and send it to them so they know to look out for those, those changes.
Absolutely. Right. So we mentioned that we had a quick tip of the week, and especially when it comes to virtual learning, and what Google has done is created for us a companion mode in Google Meet, which is really nice, especially for the teachers that are going to have their presenting in the room, and then if they got some kids at home, this companion mode is the biggest thing, is that hopefully there's going to be no more audio echo and feedback, right, with that. It just rolled out, so we haven't had a whole lot of time to play with it yet, but there is going to be a PDF linked in the show notes, so definitely go there. But with this companion mode, you're going to be able to participate just like you were in, with polls, question, answer, raise your hand, have that second screen to present without the audio feedback in the room. And that's huge. I know when I was always flipping back and forth with my laptop and my Chromebook, sometimes I forget to hit a button here and there.
Mute this one, unmute that one.
And have this companion mode, I think, would have been really nice, because that's that echo feedback is real.
Google listens.
And so definitely check out the companion mode quick tip. And like I said, in the show notes, we've got some resources. We'll have a Google Doc that has some resources in there as well, kind of highlighting what we talked about. And then we'll also have our the quick tip of checking out the companion mode right there inside of Google Meet. So.
And our BCSD IT YouTube channel always has videos that we update, so that way you can have some more quick tips.
Absolutely.
That teachers can even just take and refer to have,
share.
Hey, when you're home and your computer's not running so great, check out the tips in the BCSD IT YouTube page. It might be clearing your cache or how to get your camera or microphone allowed. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's a good point. I'm glad
And
you
the
mentioned
student,
that.
actually, now that we mentioned that, the student help chat,
Mhm.
that does have some options, and there's on the website where they can see all those tips,
Yep.
What to try at home
Mhm.
as far as
Absolutely.
those cache.
Yeah, and the
stuff.
student
So
tech
there's-
tip
It's
section.
multiple places.
Right, right.
Alrighty. And so our question of the week is, what do you feel is the best advice for teachers in a virtual environment? We would love to hear from you guys out there. I'm sure you have a lot more tips and tricks that we didn't even think about that would be very useful to other teachers in Berkeley County. So please send us those answers so we can get that information out to
Yeah,
teachers.
because where do you think we got these tips?
Yes.
By being in
From
teachers'
teachers.
classrooms
Right.
and seeing their, Schoology set up or their Google Classroom. So
Absolutely.
We learn from each other. Sharing is caring.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you guys being here, and I hope everybody out there enjoys this podcast. And please keep checking out other podcasts. And if you also want some PD, you can check out Learning on the Go.
wait, what?
Learning
us
on the Go with
more.
podcast and Unified Talent. Just watch 2 podcasts, fill out a little reflection, a Google form, and then get some PD credits. So
Wait, so I can listen to all these fabulous podcasts and get PD
you
credit?
can. Absolutely.
Ooh,
So
we're stepping it up.
we are. And
Listen
so,
to it on your car on the way to
Yeah.
work.
Yeah,
You're not even using any more time that
Yep.
you weren't already taking.
That's right.
absolutely. So yeah, you can watch them here in the YouTube on the BCSD IT YouTube, or just listen to them wherever you find podcasts. So, alrighty, guys.
All
Have a good one.
right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.